Hello and welcome to another episode of Critical Political Thinking. My name is Paso and I'm your host. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Ricky Price and the BLM insurrection, where basically you have BLM now attacking another police station, and now that the facts are revealed, we find that in this case, even more than the other insurrections, when you have people going against their own government, and you have to remember that the police are still a government agency. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Ricky Price situation, and then we're going to jump into the Derek Chauvin trial briefly and talk a little bit about how his sentencing had unveiled, how it's kind of along what we expected, but then we got this cryptic statement. We're going to get into that. Then we're going to get into a few of the indoctrination capitals like Joy Reid and Michael Eric Dyson, and how they basically have been promoting this whole new CRT process. Additionally, we're going to talk about Kamala Harris and her visit to the southern border and how she chose just to go right before President Donald Trump. And then we're going to talk about how the media, college, everything revolving around the future of our children and school and just a whole lot of things in general, how indoctrination and objective, unbiased media has gone out the window. So we're going to talk about all of those things and more right here on this very informative episode of Critical Political Thinking. Hello and welcome to another episode of Critical Political Thinking. My name is Paso and I'm your host. We're going to kick things off with the BLM insurrection that's taken place and how we have an individual by the name of Ricky Price. And let's just talk a little bit about the situation before we talk about what happened in the police station and how there's basically an insurrection happening, but they're not going to label it an insurrection. It's justified. It's justice. It's social justice. It's Black Lives Matter as a movement. Wrong. If Black Lives Matter, then this whole situation probably wouldn't have happened. And we're going to talk about it from a whole different grouping of perspectives and how the media has literally changed the way people now view things. And additionally, let's talk a little bit about how this individual was guilty. So you have an individual pulled over. Now, most people don't realize this individual had a firearm in his vehicle, drugs in his vehicle, was on probation, parole, so on and so forth. All they have is the perception from one individual, this one individual that was videotaping the situation. Now, where her perception came from would be the view of the liberal mainstream media. All these people out there saying how every person that's white is racist, every cop is racist, everything they do is to hurt, harm, and hinder people of color. So that's exactly where she came from when she was filming this. Oh, you're hurting him, you're hitting him, you're hurting him, you're doing that. He didn't do nothing wrong, blah, blah. He had a gun in his car. He had drugs in his car. He was on probation and parole when he was pulled over for expected drug trafficking. So they pulled this individual over, and other things too, but they labeled it one thing just so they can pull him over. We all know how that works. Unfortunately, I don't agree with that portion of the system, but that's neither here nor there. When you're pulled over, you comply. You follow basic directives and orders, whether or not it's beneficial to you or not. Now, why would this person not do that? Well, maybe because of the gun and the firearm. Maybe because of the drugs. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So, after these African Americans were pulled over, these people of color, it was found that they had weapons, so they were handcuffed. One was handcuffed. I apologize. Therefore, they had him handcuffed. Now, they unhandcuffed him so that he could take off his jewelry and whatnot and his personal belongings to give to his brother. Meanwhile, his brother comes entering the situation, not really understanding what's going on, and starts attacking the police officers. Mind you, these are the nicest police officers, even allowing this man, who was just found to be in possession of whatnot, to take off his jewelry and hand it over so it didn't get lost in the process or in jail or whatnot. So these were actually pretty decent officers if you really look at it. But then you have the brother entering the facility or entering the situation and starting to attack this individual, the officer. So now you have the officers attempting to restrain that person. Meanwhile, the person filming, oh my God, he's hitting him, he's hitting him, he's hitting him, he's beating him. Look at his face, it's all bloody. If he had simply complied, stood back, and waited for the jewelry, not fought the police officers, I don't think anything would have happened. But see, that's not the case. And what you have is you have the perception of the media jumping the gun because now you have white officers, white female officer, white male officers attacking two African American or people of color. But that's not the case. What you had was two people of color that were now guilty of additional crimes on the fact that they were on parole and probation already. Now, on top of that, they are attacking these officers, and these officers had to therefore apply force and bring these people to the ground. And watching, they didn't do anything, but they kept jumping up. So instead of tasing the person, which causes more harm than a couple punches to the leg, that's not going to break anything. That's going to cause a couple bruises. We've all had that. My buddy's Charlie horsed me plenty of times. So let me just tell you something. It's unfortunate that his face hit the ground and it got busted, his nose got broken or whatnot. That happens when you fight officers and push and shove and punch officers, which is clearly visible on the video, but nobody wants to see those things. They want to see things for how they are and play the victim and add to this whole victim agenda and add to this whole CRT agenda where at the end of the day, people think there's going to be reparations and payouts and handouts and freebies and galore, and you get more for this and you get more. There's already that. Unfortunately, for our business, we applied for a business loan. Did you know we didn't qualify for the whole amount of the loan or the grant, I should say, simply because we were not a person of color and we did not have an alien as any part of ownership in the business? Alien as in someone that's not legally part of this country, or because they weren't a person of color, we were not eligible for the extra $5,000 in that loan. Can you explain to me how that's fair? Someone that has paid into the system their entire lives is now told by that very system that they don't qualify because they paid into the system. It's now time for the people that didn't pay into the system to benefit somehow? Crazy. So now reverse discrimination is in effect happening. And when you say that there is racism, absolutely. There's now racism towards the white male, whether you want to admit it or not. Every time that you hear CRT and all these other things being pushed in the face of people that don't want to hear it, that's in fact racism, whether you realize it or not. Because CRT, in fact, divides the country. And that is, in fact, the definition of racism. Racism is to take one group and to hinder or harm them based on the color of their skin or ethnicity. And frankly, that's exactly what CRT is saying that the world does. So in fact, by implying that, you're therefore breeding that into these children's heads that they now cannot get ahead simply by the color of their skin. Rather than the merit and the brains that these kids are probably capable of having, they're not going to bother now, simply because of the bull crap that they're being taught through this whole CRT. And this whole thing has been over-exaggerated by the media, just like every other single solitary cases. You have the lawyer coming out and claiming he is innocent, and he will probably be innocent for 2-3 years. Do you know what that means? That means he'll be innocent until the jury finally finds him guilty of the crimes they damn well know he was guilty of, or else they wouldn't say 2-3 years. They'd say he's not guilty, period. They know he's guilty, but they're upset that he got beat up before he was found guilty. Then don't fight police officers? How does that sound? Comply with police officers when they're arresting you for drugs and firearms when you're on parole, probation? That's just a crazy thought. Crazy, crazy thought. And then you have jokes like, Joy Reid, quote unquote, host. I'm not going to give her journalist because she's certainly not a journalist. And then Michael Eric Dyson, a professor who claims that people that follow MAGA are maggots. That's right. A professor in a school where people are paying to be educated. Conservatives, mind you. There are conservatives in that school. I assure you. Well, they are stupid to go there, mind you, because anyone that's going to one of these liberal indoctrination institutions, I feel horrible for, because there aren't very many options, and yet these institutions are okay hiring people that are disgusting racists that are willing to say that conservatives, white males, are maggots. Oh, I mean MAGA. You're so funny, sir. You're so funny that your racism is shining. You're so funny that you just made everything that you've done in basically your entire life useless, because now I wouldn't believe a word out of your mouth. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone would. I think anyone that speaks in that manner clearly shows how unintellectual they truly are. And you're the one claiming to be an intellectual? Please. Please. Anyone that's pushing CRT is pushing racism. They're pushing the hate. They're pushing the division. They want that because they think at the end of the day there's reparations. They think that because they're being told by these magical Democrats that are supposed to be on their side that they're going to get something at the end of the day. Well, I'm here to tell you you're not. They're going to walk all over you just like they have in the past, just like they will do in the future. The only party that has ever been here for the blacks and the people of color, and everyone for that matter, would be the Republican Party, the ones that tell you you can do it, but you have to go out and do it yourself. You're not going to get a handout from anybody, but you can certainly succeed in America simply by applying yourself. It's a shame. And the media just keeps adding to it by their objective, unbiased media is gone. It's gone. It's gone. Objective, unbiased media is gone. Absolutely gone. They're destroying it with their narrative. You know, they adore Kamala Harris rather than observe her. You know, these people were picked, hand-picked, and what they do is they applaud her and build her up and make her into this great candidate, because that's exactly what this whole liberal mainstream media is. It is the Democratic wheel, and they're part of it. They're one big giant cog in this wheel. And without them, Kamala's nothing. She's exactly what she was before she became vice president. She was Willie Brown's little buddy, if you will. You know, she destroyed her community. She destroyed her area that she was district attorney in. You can't tell me. You can't tell me that this person has a clue. She cackles every time she is nervous. That is her nervous tick. She cackles. Oh my God, how many times has she cackled? Oh, I know. Every serious question she was asked. Now she goes to the border. Oh, I've been to the border. How many times? Not since you've been president, and not since you've created a border crisis. Oh, I haven't been to Europe either. No, because Europe doesn't have a border crisis, moron. I mean, this is ridiculous. How do we have to put up with this? And how is the media, this objective, unbiased media, not calling them out on the BS? I know, because it's all part of their plan. They need to scratch each other's backs. You know, you have Kamala on the plane handing out cookies of her face. Here I am. Woo, here's a cookie of me. Oh, let's tweet about this. Let's take pictures and tweet how wonderful Kamala is. She gave us a cookie. Meanwhile, we had Mike Pence, who was actually vice presidential, not handing out cookies, rather handing out actual directives and objectives and making things happen. And he would have been at the border the day there was a crisis. But I know they fixed the crisis. They didn't create one. Oh, wow. Funny how that happens. Now you have the entire media. Oh, she's a mother. She's a person of color. She's groundbreaking. She's a vice president. She's part Asian. She's part black. She's self-made. She's amazing. Please. She's none of the above. Well, she's a mother. She's Asian and she's black. Self-made into what? No, she's not self-made. Willie Brown made her everything that she is. And then the Democratic Party needed a scapegoat. They needed somebody to add to the Biden party because they knew Biden was their puppet. That was the only person that actually had a chance to go against Donald Trump, and the only way he had a chance was for them to hide him in the basement. Then they had to get somebody, and Biden had to open his mouth. Oh, I'm going to have a black person. I'm going to have a person of color run with me. So who was left? Elizabeth Warren certainly didn't feel she was Indian, but then she got called out on that, so she was out. All that was left was good old Kamala. So now what do they have to do? They have to make her into what she's not, something that's great. People, you need to pay attention to what's going on in this America. This isn't happening. If somebody that's great would have been at that border way faster, they wouldn't have laughed about situations that are so serious to the people in McAllen, Texas. Meanwhile, she goes to El Paso, Texas. Why? Because she just wants to avoid the photo op. She wants to avoid actual questions from actual citizens and actually see people crossing the real border. Instead, she wants to go to the cleanest facility in El Paso, and she wants to ask the people there with the least problem. And I'm saying they don't have the least problem, but no problem, but they have the least out of the major problems. But that's what this whole Biden administration is, smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. So where does a smart kid go from here? You can't go to college. You're going to just be indoctrinated into a liberal joke. And if not, you're going to be ridiculed and called a racist and basically forced to almost commit suicide or into a mental health status where you almost hate the Republican Party simply because you are something that deserves to be rewarded. And that's not happening in these schools. Meanwhile, it's not happening on the liberal mainstream media. Meanwhile, it's not happening in basic social media, Facebook. So they're literally pushing this entire social party into a corner and forcing them to either hate each other or comply. Who's going to be brave and stand up and not comply? Who's going to be brave and not fight with their fists, but fight with their voices and raise up and tell their senators, their representatives, their governors? We say this almost every episode, but you need to do something, people. The more you sit back and say, well, somebody else, no, not going to happen. You saw what happened. You saw what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it, people. We need to start paying attention to what's happening in our country. We need to start realizing who's leading our country. It's not the two puppets. Instead, it's the people behind the two puppets. It's a group of woke social warriors that are taking our country and tearing it apart at the limbs. Now, hopefully, our Supreme Court can stand strong, but they're already talking about packing SCOTUS again. We're going to have that coming up in a very near video. But people, you have to understand, it's terrible, almost terrible to be a white male right now. And, I hate to say that because I love my country. I love everything about it. But if you're not a person of color, you're racist right now. And there are no innocent whites, according to this critical race theory that's now sweeping the nation. As a matter of fact, you're automatically racist because of your subconscious thoughts that you don't even have control of you having, because of course they're subconscious. You don't control your subconscious. So yeah, you're racist whether you like it or not. How does that feel? Try that on for size. Somebody who may have done everything right in life. Just because you don't like it, you're now racist. Just because you don't agree with them, you're now subconsciously racist, because that you can already prove to them that you're clearly not racist. So now they have to tell you that you're racist in a way that you can't prove it. Ha! We got you. We're so smart. We made it subconscious. Wrong. The only thing subconscious is their subliminal lies and their subliminal messaging trying to attempt to bring you into believing that you're anything but what you are, and that is a great American. Don't let them lie to you. I'm not a racist, you're not a racist, so don't let them tell you that you're something you're not. Just like you are now being told that you can't tell them they're something they're not. Let's play their game, America. Let's play their game. And now you have another man who's literally suffering, Derek Chauvin. He deserves to go to jail, yes, but does he deserve 22 and a half years for aiding in a fentanyl death? No way in hell. No way in hell. Nope. And I'm very fortunate that it's going to come out very soon, because now he can testify. Because mind you, the worst has happened. There's nothing worse that could possibly happen to Derek Chauvin. He's got the worst and the highest, okay? Nothing possibly can happen worse. So now it's his turn to speak his mind. He had to plead the fifth just because possibly there was a figment of doubt that, this jury wouldn't be unbiased in a town where they knew their entire lives would be torn upside down if they did anything but find him guilty. Meanwhile, you had people like Maxine Waters confirming that. Now, what you have is a man who's capable of finally speaking his mind. And I hope that, in fact, this family does get peace. And I hope now Derek can say, yes, I did witness him taking fentanyl. That's exactly why he passed away. But nobody could say that because they didn't see it. All they saw was the pill on the ground with the saliva on it. What if that was his only pill? Reasonable doubt, right? Well, in this new trial where now he's able to speak, and, he'll get that new trial because of people like Maxine Waters. The judge even stated this. He made it a point to state that. So pay attention, people. It's not over in the Chauvin case by a long shot. Mark our words here at CPT. Additionally, the Ricky Price situation, back off. Start paying attention to what's actually happening before you jump the gun and accuse people of things that aren't true. That's the problem with America today. Everyone is so quick to just blame something on hate, blame something on this, just because simply the color of your skin. Do you not realize how backwards you're taking America by dividing this country further, simply through reverse discrimination? I hate to state it, but that's exactly what's happening, people. Stop dividing America and realize we're all one. Realize until we work together, this isn't going to get fixed. Thank you so much for watching Critical Political Thinking. My name is Corey Camasso, and I'm your host. Please visit our website, www.criticalpoliticalthinking.com today, and join our Critical Political Thinkers Club. Please help us by, donating a few dollars, and, depending on how much you're capable of donating, we're capable of sending you some free gifts, like a amazing Critical Political Thinking mug, so you can join the mug club. Additionally, you can also get yourself some cool t-shirts, some cool hats, all kinds of different critical political thinking gear to help us get our name out there and share the truth with America and help America begin to make those educated decisions so we can continue to grow as a country and begin to make America the amazing place we all know that it can be. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, rumble, and comment below. Commenting helps the algorithms realize you enjoyed or hated the video, and it also helps us interact with the people viewing our video so we know more about what you would like to hear and see. Obviously, we'll continue to share the truth, but we can always share the truth about situations that matter most to you. Again, thank you so much for watching. This is Critical Political Thinking. God bless America.